Hey everybody, I'm standing by an icon of one of my favorite saints and one of the most inspiring saints to me, St. John Vianney, patron of parish priests. And then somebody embroidered for me this little, hopefully you can see it, I don't know, an embroidered thing from John Paul II, be not afraid, he would say all the time. Actually, Jesus said that all the time, be not afraid. And John Vianney was a humble guy who went to a poor country parish where there was chickens on the altar because the people had abandoned the faith. And the bishop sent him there, not because he was very good, but he sent him to the poorest, most remote part of the diocese because nobody thought John Vianney was any good at all. But the bishop said, I'm sending you to a place where there is little love of God because you will bring the love of God there. The bishop saw in John Vianney a person who was a disciple of Jesus Christ. And that's who John Vianney was as a priest. And then so he lived as that disciple of Jesus Christ in the concrete circumstances that it was. So he cleaned up the altar, he went out and visited the people, he had conversations with them, and eventually Ars, the town he was sent to, became this center for people wanting to go to confession, wanting to reconcile themselves with the Lord. He went to a place where there was no love of God, and because he chose to follow God with all his heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love his neighbor as himself, he filled that whole area and beyond with the love of God. And that's a call to us. To be those disciples who are not afraid to be disciples of Jesus Christ, even if the whole world around us isn't. So in that context of being a disciple today, there's two things that I want to share with you. One is I shared last Sunday that the Archdiocese is releasing a document on gender identity. And I don't actually know what any of you think. I've heard rumors about people who are afraid. I've heard rumors about people that like this or don't like this. But I actually haven't heard anybody talk to me about it. And so what I want to do is be on the front end of this and to invite you, if you want, to come and talk about what this is and why it's a proclamation of the good news of Jesus Christ and how it helps us to follow God and to love God and our neighbor more effectively according to the gospel as disciples. And so this coming Thursday, February 9th in the evening, and then this coming Saturday, February 11th, on the morning, so a weekday evening and a weekend time. I'm just going to invite anybody who wants for an hour to come discuss. We can go through the points of what the document is. We can talk about questions. I have no agenda other than let's not be afraid of this document. Let's not read it. Let's not understand it, but let's dive in and see its call to us to be disciples right now. It's a teaching document, not a finger-wagging document, but a call to how we can love God and our neighbor, particularly in this area of gender dysphoria. And with that, the second thing I want to talk about as we become disciples in our environment today, as we try not to be afraid to follow Jesus with our whole heart and to be those disciples who actually love Jesus, other people like Jesus, is Lent's coming up. And February 22nd is Ash Wednesday and Lent is starting. And there's a few things that you could do. I want you to start considering things now of what you might want to do that will help you to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. And my encouragement this year is to be intense about it. Not to pick something that's easy simply because it's easy, but to pick the thing that will help you to become a disciple of Jesus Christ without fear. If you don't already, my number one thing is let's give Sunday back to God. He's asked that we just spend time with him, to be near him, to listen to him, to pray. And so if you don't go to Mass on Sundays, maybe consider going to confession and coming back to Mass. If you do come to Mass on Sundays, awesome, that's great. Maybe let's try to give the whole day to God through more prayer. Maybe you're doing catechism in a year or Bible in a year or some sort of Bible study. But maybe one thing we could do is not do anything that makes us work or anybody else work. So like avoiding the store, anything that would make other people work, so that we can give that Sunday back to God, so we can be his wholehearted disciples. The church always recommends almsgiving, fasting, and prayer as the 3 disciplines of Lent. And those are aimed to help us to go against those temptations that Adam and Eve faced, that St. John talks about, of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The tree was good for food, pleasing to the eyes, and desirable to make one wise. This concupiscence, that tendency towards sin. And so to combat that, the church gives us prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Maybe you want to consider one thing that you could do in each of those areas, but my encouragement right now is to be intense about being a disciple of Jesus Christ, to be filled with the love of God, and then be not afraid to go out and bring the love of God into your world. God bless you. I'm praying for you.